Welcome to the newest episode of The List. Life is stories to tell.
All right, what's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The List. And with me today, I have my homeboy, Mr. Pierre Guillet. Pierre, you want to say a few words about yourself?
I'm Asian.
All right, that's enough. All right, so I got Pierre here today because I'm kicking off into a new thing, going back to my roots, I guess you could say, from another podcast that I had that was all MMA related. And MMA I'm a huge fan. I'm more than your casual fan, you could say. And so I wanted to tap back into that because I enjoy talking about it. And Pierre, my homeboy here, actually has an extensive background in it. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun having him on the show on a regular basis. Pierre, give me a little background on you.
I actually started out my martial arts career in Thai boxing under Crew Armstrong, who's out there at Raleigh. Big shout out to him and his crew at Super Rhino. I also have deep ties with the old Fight Factory. It's now defunct, with Stephen Hague. It's a gym that Eddie Alvarez initially started out of. Right. And then I've fought in grappling for Naga, Abu Dhabi qualifiers, was the Ultimate Combat Light Heavyweight Champ over at a UK promotion. So I've been around the game for a while, and although I didn't make it to the upper echelons, I've been able to do a lot of cool stuff, meet a lot of great people. And just a side note on his experience, if you haven't caught his videos, they'll be out on YouTube. He's got some videos with John Jones, Alex Orlovsky, as well as Wonder Boy. Check them out. They're good listen. And again, very extensive background. I talk to him on a daily basis about my marriage and MMA.
Yeah, I got knowledge of fighting in both areas. So, yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, he says he didn't make it to the upper echelon, but you fought some upper echelon fighters for sure. I mean, and trained with.
Yeah,
that's
again,
crazy.
Man, like I said, I've been very fortunate. I've been able to train. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Hellboy, Joachim Hansen. I've been able to train with Gustafsson. And when I say train with Gustafsson, have him punch me in the face repeatedly. I was actually there for that.
Yeah.
But again, MMA, man. It's
Hermanson?
Yeah, Hermanson.
Yeah,
I've trained with him once, and it was just briefly, and the only thing I took away from that man was his top pressure is insane, and man, he's such an athlete and such a great guy.
Yeah, so I was in fought Babalu Brawl.
Yeah, fought Babalu Brawl. That didn't end the way I wanted. I guess my most significant win would have been against Daijiro Matsui in Cage Rage. Is it Cage Rage? Cage Warriors? It's one of the cages over in the UK. Yeah. As you can tell, I've been hit quite a few times.
So, with that, I mean, that shows you, Pierre, he's been around the game and not just watching it. He's been involved in it. And that's why I like bouncing things off of him back and forth. We debate quite a lot, and we make our gentleman's bet of no more than $5.
Hundo. That's how we roll, son. Hundos.
We got bills around this place, so that's why it's always just a friendly bet. We've yet to get to the point of making stupid bets of, like, if you win, you gotta, drink a bottle of hot sauce or something stupid. But I wouldn't doubt it gets to that point at some level. But
I'm looking for the loser shaves his head one.
That one is not fair. That one is not fair.
Man, if I relax my hair, my curls come out to about here. So.
Well, then we'll have to say loser grows his hair out.
That's not a good look for me.
Yeah, maybe that's a good. Loser has to grow their hair out to a mullet and keep it for a month.
Now my hairline starts like right here.
You would never have party business in the front, party in the back. Yours is always party in the back. Okay. All right. So let's talk about some fights that are coming up this weekend. We got McGregor versus Cowboys. All the talk. Anytime McGregor's name is thrown into something, tons of media and news coverage. It's only fitting to do the first MMA show back with The List to go ahead and talk about that fight. But before we get to that one, let's talk about a few undercard fights. Let's see, we got Claudia Gadelha versus Alexa Grasso. You've got Holly Holm versus Raquel Pennington 2. You've got Alexei Oleinik versus Maurice Jackson. the Crochet Boss. I don't know, between the Crochet Boss and Violent Bob Ross. Oddly enough, they rhyme, but those are two of the better fight names, I think, that are just off the wall.
Yeah, and the thing is, it directly reflects the guy. I mean, he actually crochets from.
Oh yeah.
So he actually crochets, and Bob Ross, that hair, man, that's a work of art. So you see how that applies.
He literally looks like
a cloud, bro. It does look like a Bob Ross cloud. We're just gonna paint the hair like a little cloud.
So, and then of course the main event is Conor McGregor versus Cowboy Cerrone. So we'll start. I want to start with Claudia Gadelha versus Alexa Grasso. I'll tell you up front, just to the point. I hate to do this because I'm such a fan of Claudia Gadelha, but I'm picking Grasso in that fight.
I think the smart man, or the betting man, is going to pick Grasso. She's looked really good. Her last fight with Esparza, a lot of people didn't see it the way that the judges did. In fact, I can actually remember when watching the fight, listening to all the boos in the background, they thought that Grasso had definitely been robbed.
Yeah, and not to cut you off, but I think they were, because I think you mentioned this before, I think they were a little upset that she pulled that last minute takedown just to try to, I mean, it was literally right at the end, Esparza did, and was kind of like, let me just try to ride this out and cross my fingers for the win.
Yeah.
Especially when it was an exciting fight.
I mean, don't get me wrong, a win is a win, but I think it was kind of anticlimactic because it was a good fight back and forth. Mm-hmm. However, again, still had Grasso winning the fight. I thought she was the more dominant of the two, the more aggressive, the more efficient fighter.
Right.
But again, we're not sitting cage side, and that's why the judges have that hard job. Didn't see it going that way, but it is what it is.
Right. So who are you picking?
I'm 100% Grasso,
Okay.
and the reason for that, I believe Gadelha, she just jumped gyms. Mm-hmm. She's out of New Jersey now, and I believe she's with Ricardo Almeida, who is, he's got some of the top fighters underneath his banner. He's got
Frankie
Eggers, Moraes, and Eddie Alvarez has extensively trained with those guys. I'm not quite sure if he's still out of that gym, but again, he's got the fighters to prove that what he's doing in New Jersey is is producing the results.
Yeah.
But again, I think she's in that in-between point, and we talked about this, that when you go from one team that you've built the bonds, the trust, and their fight style, you have to incorporate the new gym's fight style, ethos, and stuff. And I think she's in that in-between. And I think it actually reflects in the fights. She was a little bit flat on the last one. It went to a split decision. And I think she tried to really be a striker in that one. And I don't think she's bridged that gap just yet.
Yeah, because there's a big difference between a proficient striker, which I see in Grasso. Mm-hmm. Her combinations are clean, straight. It's not like a looping wild punches.
No.
Gadelha has always been more the brawler once she gets in that, there's not taking away, she's put it on the top of the top in that division,
and she's still considered to be one of the top
of course
fighters. And
but I wouldn't put her as a brawler more than I would a striker when it comes to stand up. Of course, I mean, we know she's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, grappling game, ground game is strong, but so is Grasso's. I'm just giving Grasso the edge, not by much. But my pick is Grasso.
And I'm also going Grasso just because I believe she's going to be the more dominant on the feet. She's going to pick her spots, and she's going to be looking for Gadelha to revert back to the grappling. So, Grasso in my book.
Grasso as well. All right, so who we got after that? Let's see, that was
Olenek
and Jackson.
No, Green. Maurice Green.
Maurice Green. Yep. Is it that one? Yeah, it is that one next, isn't it? Because then Homer and Pennington too, and then so Olenek and Jackson. All right, I started off picking Grasso. I'll let you take the first one on this one.
This one's a lot harder to pick. Both guys are coming off a loss, but if you look at Olenek's record, he's fought the who's who in MMA: Hunt, Krokop, Alistair Overeem. He's got some wins over the bigger names. And he's got the more experience. However, he is riding a 2-fight losing streak. And what I see being the edge in this one, and I know I picked Olenek off record, but I've kind of switched on that because I took a second look at Green. Green's fights in terms of the stand-up, cleaner punches straight down the pipe, whereas Olenek is more of a looping puncher. And let's not discount Green's knees. I mean, he put it on Premislau in the Fighter House, and that was super impressive. I did have Olenek, but then after giving a second look at the Crochet Boss, getting it up, we're going to give it to the Crochet Boss.
All right, so yeah, that's surprising because I had called Green the first time around. We talked about it.
Don't bring up old stuff, Jay. Don't bring up old stuff.
We actually had a gentleman's bet on that one at one point, but that's out the window now because I'm still sticking with Green for the exact same reasons. I think it comes down to managing the distance. If Green can keep Olenek from grabbing hold of him in one of those weird, crazy, I don't think I could get submitted from here submissions, I think he pulls out the win. Like I said, knees, he uses his kicks well. He's already a tall, long fighter. He uses his kicks and punches well to maintain distance. I mean, he's got, I think at least, just recently, off his recent fights in the UFC, it's 2 submission wins from his back, off throwing up a triangle. So, I mean, if he can, even if he gets taken down, he's still dangerous. I think overall, Green takes it.
Yeah. Take a look at that Green-Batista fight. Everybody had thought that Batista was going to pretty much steamroll him, and that was classic triangle choke.
And I think, for the most part, everybody would pretty much assume Olenek's going to run through him as well. Olenek's got more experience, has fought the bigger names. He's been
50+ fights.
And Olenek's name's been thrown out there as until recent losses hit him as that next guy. He's just coming through, and then so I think Green is being overlooked quite a bit.
But Olenek, those Eastern Bloc countries, like I said, man, they're from the womb. They're born with a beard, a job, and drinking vodka. You know what I mean? They're just
straight up
tough fighters. So, like I said, he still definitely has a chance to win, and he's probably being touted to win. But again, I think you made a great point in saying that Green is definitely being overlooked.
Yeah, and I think that takes the pressure off of him. For him to come in and actually perform better. If nobody expects you to win, if you lose, it's a shrug of the shoulders, right? Everybody thought I was going to lose anyway. Yeah. So mentally going in, like you said, switching gyms, there's always these mental aspects to the fight game that could be on, weight on your shoulders that you carry into the cage with you. I don't think Green's taking any of that pressure of he's expected to win this.
But talking about the mental toughness, I was looking at the records, and both fighters have lost to a person and then come back and beat the same person. That shows the level of mental toughness, being able to, dig through those mental trenches and come out the other end as a winner. So, again, I like this matchup. I think it's going to be an exciting fight either way. I'm excited to looking forward to that one.
So next we'd have Holly Holm and Raquel Pennington. Rocky. Holly, the preacher's daughter. Yeah. All right. So, who are you picking on that one? Let's say, let's reiterate for those that may not know, they fought once already.
Yes.
Holly Holm won. All right. So this is their second go.
Yes. I'm not going to change my stance on this one. I'm still going to go with Holly Holm. Holly Holm is, to me, good striker. She does work the angles. We talked about, has she evolved? I don't know. Reflecting on her last fights, I think she followed the game plan, the same template. I think she's going to come out with some new tricks. And again, working with Jackson Wink out there in New Mexico, they're always going to be looking to give her that edge. And I think she comes back off the loss, a better, stronger fighter with a couple of new tricks up her sleeve, and you can never discount her. Don't get me wrong, like you said earlier, Pennington's game has evolved, not the same fighter, and I think that Holly Holmes is going to know that, and I think it's going to be a feeling out process in the first, and she's going to try to turn it on in the second.
I'm going with Pennington. All that aside, I'm going to go with Pennington on this, and I I don't know that many people are calling Pennington to win this fight. I think because she's fought her once already and lost, I think that it makes her hungry to get this W. She's just too tough. I think she had some issues she was dealing with injury-wise, or trying to get back into the game. Because remember, Pennington got injured. She was supposed to get that title shot, and she had gotten injured, and and all these things were going on. And then she comes back and she fought home. And I want to say ring rust, but I just think she wasn't as crisp as she normally is in that fight. She held her ground throughout the whole thing in the first fight. I just think that from what I see in Holly Holm, and again, like I said, great point that she's coming out of Jackson Wink. So you almost always give the coaching advantage to anybody that comes out of that gym, because Greg Jackson is he's just a wizard when it comes to that. I mean, he's a student of the game. He studies, and then puts a plan together.
A wizard.
And he's a great guy. I interviewed him once too, and he's awesome. It was a lot of fun. But I just don't see Holly Holm has progressed. You know what she's going to do. She's a boxer by trade. She's evolved into an MMA fighter. She's good. She's got the boxing. She follows up with head kicks off of combos, and that's how she made a name for herself. By sleeping a few girls in other organizations and then getting to call it to the UFC.
Where she was the giant killer. Let's not forget, she slept Rousey. And at a time when Rousey was not beatable in the minds of many,
and we've talked about this too. She beat Rousey because Rousey tried to play her game instead of implementing her own game.
Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think that Pennington is going to do that. I think that she's going to, put her on her back. I hope, if for Pennington's sake, hopefully she doesn't try to stand up. You know what I mean? Especially if Holly Holmes keeps that range, keeps that distance, looking for the setup with a kick. Sometimes that one-trick pony is still able to get off the trick, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, very true. But I think Pennington is, she's a boxer as well. She loves to scrap. That's her thing. Is she comes in and she's not. I just said she's a boxer. She is not she's not a professional, but she won't come in there with that kind of like a Holly Holm type pedigree. But she will stand and bang.
Yeah.
But she's gonna have to close a little distance to be able to get inside to do that with Holly Holm, and that's the trick. What feints and combos and what's she doing to try to get inside? Once she does close the distance, she will wrap somebody up, put them against the cage, and try to get them on their back. She's a gritty fighter. I think she's just so extremely tough. I think she comes in with a little different game plan, tries to implement things a little differently this time around, and actually takes the W from home this time. I'm picking Pennington.
All right, so we're going to do a gentleman's bet on this?
We can do it. What mid-range or big money? $250 or $5?
Hold on. Let me check
check your account.
My bank account.
Hey, you got another pay period before you got to...
We'll go 5.
We'll go 5 on it? All right.
All right. Y'all see this? 5.
Yep. Pennington. Come on, Pennington. I got bills now. Come on, do this for me.
Baby girl in these shoes.
All right, so now we're at the main event, which everybody and their brother is talking about. It's funny, over the last 2 days, I've had a handful of people that are hitting me up, like Facebook Messenger, text, or just calling me up like, "Oh, what's up with this fight? Who you got? Who you got? Who you got?" And that's another reason why I decided, let me get back into doing a little. Let's do some MMA talk, some table talk. There we go. That's the name of it from here on out.
Table talk.
MMA table talk. Here we go. So, I've answered everybody the same way. It's hard to pick a winner in this fight because I'm a huge fan of Cerrone. Huge fan. And not just, as a fighter. I like who Cerrone is. You can't help but love the guy.
Oh, hands down. Like, I don't know if I've written him a couple letters saying that we should be like blood brothers and stuff. No answer, but I'm still waiting.
So you're a Cowboy stan to Eminem stan, like this.
Yeah, for sure. But listen, and when you hear my pick, man, it's totally going to sound hypocritical. Totally going to sound hypocritical. But Cerrone, if you see this, man, I still love you, brother.
I don't think he cares.
No. I mean, my pick is going to be so un-American, like an American bald eagle carrying a burger and a Pabst Blue Ribbon is gonna
a Budweiser.
Yeah, want to fight me. You know what I mean? I'm like, jeez. So as you
So
can
what you're
tell,
saying is,
yeah. I'm picking McGregor. God, man, I just felt so un-American right there when I said that. I'm picking McGregor simply for the fact that everybody knows that Cerrone's got the first round curse. Okay, McGregor's got something to prove coming back, and also in the past, Cerrone has had problems with southpaw. In terms of things that make me scared about making this pick, we know that. Well, McGregor's been at the top for so long, and you have to wonder what that does for that hunger. I mean, he's living in, $1 million homes, flashing in cash, making it rain. What's going to drive him to train hard? And when it comes to those going down into the trenches, to push past that. And I think that it's going to be his pride. I think that he feels that to some extent that he's kind of been dismissed, forgotten. Not only by fans, but maybe by the UFC and other fighters, his peers.
Okay.
So I think that that's going to put a fire underneath him to really train and get his mind focused and come out there and really put on a show.
picking McGregor. Maybe this is the first and last show we do together. So I think I'm picking Cowboy. I am apprehensive in it because of Cowboy's first round curse. He's admittedly said he's a slow starter. The fight against Rafael dos Anjos. I thought, man, this is going to be a great fight. This is finally Cowboy's time. And what happened? First round, he got worked over. I was at that fight. You want to talk about heartbroken, man?
Yeah.
I was heartbroken. But like I said, first round curse. But I don't see him. I think getting popped once or twice kind of wakes him up, though. So if he can get popped without getting dropped, and get to that, it's go time now. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we not feeling each other? Oh, we going for real? I think he's gonna wake up and the one thing that worries me about making my pick for Cowboy is that he's, somebody recently asked him, you're gonna take Conor down? And Cowboy said straight up, he's like, I don't know. Why would I? They tout this guy as being a great striker, one of the greatest strikers. So why wouldn't I want to test myself against that?
Okay.
He followed up by saying, he said, a lot of people say that's stupid. When if you take him down, it's the easier way to win. But he was like, but whose decision it is? It's my decision. Mm-hmm. And if it's stupid on me. You ain't got to live with it. And I'm comfortable with that. I don't care. So he's looking at it as, I would rather test myself against one of the greatest strikers and either come out on top or lose and come out knowing than I would just take the easy route or the easier route to the win. I'm still picking Cowboy.
In terms of that first round curse, it's going to be real interesting to see how they've dealt with that in training. And I think it's going to be very imperative, very important that the lead up to the fight and right before the fight, before walking out to the cage, in terms of mindset and already have that engine revved, ready to go. Mm-hmm. So that when he goes out into the first round of the fight, it's not really his first round, it's more like his second round because he's already done the prep work backstage. They need to know that mentally and physically that he's ready to step on the gas as soon as he hits the cage. So that prep, if I'm his coach or I'm his corner, we're working at the gym. I mean, we're taking it step by step. All right, we're in the back. This is how we're going to warm up, okay? And when I say warm up, we're going to take it up a notch so that way you're ready, like I said, to step on the gas in the cage. And it's going to be a first round blast, and then settling into it, you know what I mean? And I think that Cerrone, out of the two, between him and McGregor, I think that, that he does have the better gas tank. I think that he does have the better skill set in terms of running the combinations. But for whatever reason, my gut feeling, I've got McGregor taking this one just because, the king is coming back and he wants to reclaim that throne. I think that's going to drive him to really, really go after this fight.
I can see that. Definitely. It's either it drives him. I don't think Conor's the kind of guy that where, however much pressure on his shoulders is going to affect him in any way. He's been in that top spotlight for so long.
Oh man, MMA guy going to the boxing world and think about the pressure of that. And that tour in itself,
was the dumbest thing I'd ever seen. It was absolutely the dumbest thing I'd ever seen. Like,
But
and to have people hit me up like, yo, did you see this press? No, I didn't see it. I didn't watch it. I don't want to, like, man, just take all that out of the game. Like, I can't stand it. It was so stupid. Big, crazy, multicolored fur coats. And I mean, you know, if you get into that, so be it. I don't want to see or hear any of that kind of stuff. I like a little trash talk here and there. But yeah, all that was a little too much. But yeah, it drove revenue. It drove revenue. I mean, they made money off just that tour. And it drove pay-per-view sales through the roof by the time the fight came. But I don't get it. I mean, you could have just announced that fight, stayed quiet for 8 to 12 weeks, and then like, hey, it's this Saturday, and everybody still would have tuned into that fight. But
let's look at it though, in terms of all the hype between Mayweather, McGregor, or even any other of McGregor's past fights. McGregor has a black belt in trash talk, man. 100%. He's the best in the game at it, to the point where other people are trying to mimic him. You know what I mean? But why do they do that? Why? Because look at it. That's how McGregor gets paid. He talks the talk, then he goes out there and walks the walk. You know what I mean? I definitely think that if you're a trash talker and you don't produce results, you're not going to get those type of paydays. But he set out a template, and a lot of people are trying to follow that up, you know, by reproducing that trash talk. Now, is it good for the sport? I mean, it definitely gets the interest, puts asses in seats, and when it comes in terms of making money, yeah, it's proven. But I don't know, man. For me, like I said, like you said, a little trash talk is great, but man, sometimes I do think that McGregor goes overboard with it. Right. That last Khabib fight, man, that was a whole bottle of WTF. I mean,
they and see it, and overflowed into the ring after the fight.
Yeah,
you know, and people got suspended and fined, and there's all kind of stuff going on. So I mean, you know, that we'll say that for another show of how is trash talk on the McGregor level affected MMA. Maybe it'll be a good talking
definitely
point.
Change the culture.
But going with it, so we're split again. I'm going Cowboy. I'm going Cowboy by third round. By the third round.
McGregor in the first or early second.
Yeah, and see, and that's the variable. You know, that's that first round curse. Is it going to happen like that? If Cowboy can work his game, can keep McGregor guessing and off balance. You know, we've only seen people work McGregor's legs a few times, and it's only but they don't stick with it. They don't stick with it. Like Eddie Alvarez started off with a few leg kicks to that lower calf and everything else, and you know, it threw his lead leg off, and but then he got away from it and just tried to stand. If you stand and box as a traditional boxer, as Eddie Alvarez is set up for, you see what's going to happen. You're going to lose. McGregor, I think, like I said, I'm not the biggest McGregor fan, but man, you can't knock his skill set. You can't knock his talent. He's got that wide karate stance. He leaves that right hand out front. It's more like bait. He paws at you a little bit. He lulls you. And then next thing, and he covers distance so fast with that left hand, and he's so accurate that then he's sleeping folks. And like, he didn't sleep Alvarez right away with it. The precision of his combination follow-up after that was super impressive. But Cowboy has never fought like he has his punches come from different angles. He runs together 3-4 strike combos from different angles. You look at like Rick Story, when he knocked Rick Story out.
Night.
Yeah, he came in 3 or 4 strikes to the body, came with like this uppercut that's, you know, split his defenses, popped him, and then when his head dipped down, he followed with a leg kick, and it was over.
I mean, Cerrone is beautiful to watch. I mean,
can you do that to McGregor though?
Yeah, and that's the big question. Again, a couple questions, you know, just to backtrack on that, a couple questions in my mind is McGregor, I mean, has he even made the weight yet? He's coming up as Cerrone is coming down.
So last I heard straight from McGregor himself, was actually with his interview with Ariel Helwani. He's still light of 170 right now. He's still in that process of putting on weight.
Well, that's funny that you mentioned that, because in terms of putting on weight, the bigger the body. It's just like a car. The bigger the car, bigger the truck, bigger the engine, the more gas it takes to power to get that torque, to get that drive and stuff. And let's face it, McGregor in the past has had issues in terms of, you know, gas in the tank. So that I think is a factor also. But and Cerrone, I don't think I've ever seen a fight where that has been an issue for him.
No.
So that does make me nervous, you know what I mean, in terms of...
If it gets past 2.5 going into 3.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, with Cerrone, he does dance around. I think that's going to be important if he wants to win. He can't stay stationary. He's got to be light on the feet, picking his spots in and out. But again, like I like what you said about the lead leg, you know what I mean? Because if you take the wheels out, you know what I mean, there's no power there. So it's going to be interesting to see if he does, you know, take that lead leg.
Yeah. I'm looking for him to work on the lead leg. I don't know why. It's just... maybe it's because in looking at it, it's something, if I was in the corner, if I was in this training camp, it's something I would bring up, is to work basically a lead left hook coming in to start your combo with that, because McGregor paused with that right hand. And so it's never up and ready and cocked or whatever else. He's always looking to shoot with that powerful left. Well, that leaves Cerrone's right hand up for protection. If he can step in and come over McGregor's hand, it's just kind of pawing out. And then from there roll into a set of his combos, following up with the head kick on the back end. That's what's in my mind, is that in some way Cowboy and his team have to have seen this too, and I don't think anybody else has ever looked to counter McGregor in that way. They, like, what do they do? Like, it was, you know, Nate Diaz is just a 100% brawler. He don't care what your fight style is or what you're going to do. So he pressure. And the Diaz brothers are great about getting somebody's back up against the cage, and then that dirty box and clinch, working the body, just in. And so that tired McGregor out. Yeah. Eventually get him to the ground, cause McGregor to shoot, and then he chokes him out. Khabib, we know what Khabib's going to do. Which Khabib's striking has gotten progressively better over time.
That one touch that caught McGregor.
Yeah. He sat him.
Yeah. That was, people are like, oh.
But we know what he's going to do, and he's just going to grind you out. So McGregor's gotten tired in those aspects. Cerrone is shown to not be on his best game when he's fighting moving backwards. McGregor's going to push forward. There's so many variables into this. I just know that being the red-blooded American that I am.
Oh, wow.
I'm going Cowboy Cerrone, but not just for those reasons. I do like every night. I wish they would do it like an old school UFC, how they used to do Brazil versus USA. All those kinds. I wouldn't mind seeing that sometime. The crowd's already shouting, screaming USA, or the Irish fans always start their chant. They get crazy.
That's something that is going to be interesting, you know, because there's going to be a legion of, wherever McGregor goes, I know fools from over there that have like quit their job to be able to go to a McGregor fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's insane. I mean, people would like the last name that's like Guillet. They have some like French American last name or something, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm Irish." Like, you Irish this weekend all of a sudden, but you ain't Irish.
But he's I've seen clips where he was at I think it was Las Vegas, and just people gravitate towards him, you know what I mean? And they want to, unless you're an old man not drinking his whiskey.
Yeah. And maybe McGregor's lost a step, you know, because he didn't drop that dude. That dude, like, he's like, what the hell just happened? When did you hit me? But that dude was probably numb, though. He probably said he was numb.
So do you think, in terms of McGregor, do you think that he's under pressure not only for the fights inside the ring, but all of his drama and life issues on the outside?
Yes, he is. Like I said, in watching interviews and stuff, he's downplaying it all, you know, saying patience. People will see in time. Of course, that's what he's going to say. That's the legal answer, right? Your lawyer's probably saying, here's all we're going to say about this. Because, you know, there's stuff that's going on behind the scenes. It has to weigh him down mentally in some way. But I mean, he's been at the top and dealing with so much stuff that I don't think it's going to distract him. I mean, once that walk down the tunnel and he starts hearing, his walkout music and people cheering, and he knows he's coming to the cage, then he's just going to get in his zone because that's what he does. My thing is, like you mentioned earlier, talking about putting on the weight and all that kind of stuff. Like, he's been out of the game for 18 months. He could have made 170. He could have been at a size where he had to cut to make 170 in 18 months. Mm-hmm. This is like just an all of a sudden thing. I'll fight this guy at 170. And he's saying, I like that division, all this kind of stuff. Well, you've been out of the game 18 months. This makes it easier for you. There's no big cut. Matter of fact, you got to put on weight. You're probably going to eat like 9 bananas and drink 3 gallons of water just before you get on the scale, just to be a little heavier. But I don't, I don't see any of this stuff that weighing Cowboy down as much as weighing him down. He's got a lot more pressure on his shoulders. Cowboy stays active. He's not been active in 18 months. He's got a lot of legal issues. He's got a lot of stuff that's going on, like you said. But I think once the lights come on, he walks towards the tunnel. I think McGregor's the fighter, the professional that kind of starts to block all this stuff out and just goes to perform. He enjoys it, enjoys being on that stage. However, I think this being not ring rust, but just being the first time back in 18 months, the weight, being at a different weight, all these other things, I think those are variables that are going to catch him in the long run. They're going to be a negative.
Yeah, and this has nothing to do with it. I just want to say it once off him. Conor McGregor. What?
You're Irish now too?
Yeah, baby.
Okay.
Japanese Irish.
All right, we're about to wrap this up, and you can get the fuck out my house. So,
I think also what a lot of people are interested in is whether it's Cerrone or whether it's McGregor. Once they win, what's the next step? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, I think that UFC, hands down, would like McGregor to win. He's their cash cow. Oh, yeah. And anytime you put McGregor versus Cerrone, McGregor versus a piece of bread, he's going to make money. You know what I mean? So I think that the UFC would like to see that. However, saying that, Cerrone in his own right is a draw. He is the consummate professional. I don't give a fuck. I'll fight anybody. People are drawn to that. So I think UFC finds themselves in a very comfortable position because they have options. Now, you made a very good point when you said the BMF ranch, BMF title. What you feel listed on that?
Well, that's my dream call out right there. I think I know they've fought in the past already, but both have evolved since then. They're both different fighters. Cowboy's in a different mindset since back then, which makes him more dangerous. He's enjoying life, trying to get as many fights as possible, and he owns the BMF ranch. So everybody was kind of, Cowboy was asked about this in press conferences. It was like, shouldn't you be involved in the BMF title talks or whatever else? But Cowboy, the person that he is, he's like, hey, good for those guys, man. Let them have at it. Mm-hmm. Cowboy owns the BMF ranch. So he gets a win over Conor McGregor, gets on the mic, and then says, hey, somebody has got a title that belongs at my ranch.
Ooh, good. Are you in marketing, bro? Because I could see that.
I should be. Bro. I should be. Instead, I'm poor.
So talking about Masvidal, nothing against Israel Adesanya. Done a lot in a short period of time. Amazing fighter, but I was really hoping, and I really thought that Masvidal, Street Jesus, was going to come out with the Fighter of the Year award. I think he's just resurrected his career, and how he's done that is through blood, sweat, and tears, going out there. And I mean, the Askren fight, the Diaz fight, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's just almost a totally different fighter, man. He
got knockout of the year, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And he's just, and all the way back from when he was backyard, Kimbo Slice style, you know what I mean? He's up. Game bred. That's his nickname for a reason. And he will fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. And if you don't believe it, do a little video in your backyard, and I guarantee you, if you say be at my house at 3:00, come 2:30, Masvidal.
He sure would too.
You know what I mean?
That's what I love about him.
Yeah.
That's what I love about him. I mean, that dude will fight you he'll fight you in a Walmart parking lot for not putting your buggy in the shopping cart return.
Piece and a soda.
But he doesn't go around picking fights. Ain't no bully about it. But he's like you said, game bred. He's game to get down, and he is so skilled. That's people started. So many people wanted to overlook his skill set. Not anymore.
No.
Ain't doing it no more. But like I said, for the call outs and for what should happen next, after Cowboy wins, not if he wins, when Cowboy wins, and you have to grow your hair out into a mullet fashion, which is all party in the back.
Dog, I'm gonna come out with the side braid right here.
Just grow a big ponytail like Tong Po. So I think that call out would be great. For McGregor, he said he likes what he sees at 170. I'm sure he does. Kamaru Usman, Kobe Covington, and all these, all this stuff that's going on. There's a lot of hype around that division right now because of the previous title fight. Usman coming out on top. But the best thing McGregor could do is go back down to 155. If he wants to cut to 145 and try back at that again, that's fine. But I'd like to see him back at 155 to make good on so many of those fights that should have happened. If you go back to 155, you wait for Khabib and Tony to finish up, and then do I think he should get the winner of that fight? No. Do I think he will? Yeah, because he's the money machine. It should be Conor finished. Matter of fact, that's the fight. I actually think Conor and Justin Gaethje should be what we're looking forward to coming up in a main event somewhere instead of them at 170 fighting Cowboy. But they're not going to do that. And instead they got Gaethje sitting waiting in the wings, just,
And I find
all this
Gaethje,
kind of stuff.
man, I'm feeling some type of way because I mean, my last 2-3 fights, like we said, orchestrated violence, man. He has just been putting beats, sleeping them, and he's done the work to get that nod. So that's going to be interesting to see how his next couple fights develop.
And he straight up called McGregor out in every way possible. He's told him straight up, you are a garbage human being. Like he's talked trash to McGregor and like on a personal level to let him know, I don't like you. You go around hitting old folks and you got these allegations against you, whatever else. You're a shitty person, and he wants to fight him. Period. Man, I think that would be the great fight. I don't think the UFC is going to do it though. They're not going to feed McGregor to Gaethje. I think Gaethje's just a nightmare of a matchup for anybody, but he's definitely a nightmare matchup for Conor McGregor. I think should Conor win, he goes straight to talking about Khabib and Tony, and he's going to want the winner of that fight, and he's going to get it.
Do you see the Khabib-McGregor fight playing out any differently? Unfortunately, I don't. I think it will be the same. Khabib, his wrestling and the ability to get in to utilize that wrestling, it's going to be hard to stop him. I'm talking about Ferguson. Yeah. Everybody is saying if anybody can beat Khabib, it's going to be Ferguson. 10th planet black belt.
Cardio through the roof.
Yeah, and he's just so unorthodox and
unorthodox. Like I said, mixes in takedowns, he throws him elbows. He's just, yeah, man, he's a nightmare matchup, I think, for Khabib even. And you don't say that. There's very few people you could say that about that would be a nightmare for Khabib. I think this is Khabib's biggest test. This is his biggest test is Tony Ferguson. This is not a cut and dry, so-and-so is going to win, definitely. But that's for another show because we'll wait for them and do a breakdown on that.
So, Cerrone, Masvidal, and then McGregor Khabib is what I think that they're going to try to angle out. Khabib has had some pushback.
McGregor,
on that fight.
winner of Khabib Ferguson.
Yeah, correct. I'm picking Khabib on that, just if we ever get to that next segment. Right. So I think it will, like you said, winner of the two. But if Khabib does win the fight, he has had some pushback saying that he doesn't want to fight. He has nothing left to prove to that guy. The guy is, like you say, garbage human being kind of thing. Yeah. But here's the thing. I think that fight does happen, and it simply happens because Khabib has pride. And McGregor, the king of trash talk, is going to grind him down and just say everything from what he's wearing to his dog, whatever it takes to get that fight.
Think so?
Yeah, he's going to call it out.
I don't know, because he's admittedly said things went a little too far last time. And I would hope he would say that, seeing how somebody like threw a dolly through a bus window and there was a brawl in the middle of the octagon after the fight was over. And that wasn't on, Conor's doing. That was, Khabib's guys jumped the cage and started swinging. But still, I mean, there's things led to all this, So trash talk, yeah, but we gotta put a cap on it somewhere.
Yeah, for
but
legit as
I think it's gonna be Cowboy and Masvidal for the BMF title. I know it was supposed to be on one-off, but it's a moneymaker. I think it's a great thing. Hey, Cowboy's got the BMF ranch. Let's run it.
Yeah.
I mean, how awesome would it be if Cowboy outfitted his ranch to have the fight there?
I would watch it.
But yeah, that would be pretty tight. But I mean, how are they gonna? They wouldn't do it because they need more ticket sales. They fill the MGM before they do
you
it.
would pretty much be pay-per-view in that case. You know what I mean?
But anyway, that would be pretty awesome though. But and then have it filmed on just a little handheld. Some dude running.
Back like the old school days, back in the Kimbo Slice days, baby.
But yeah, that would be great. And I think should Conor win, I think he's going to immediately address his attention to the 155-pound division, unless he wants to try to convince Usman to give him a chance. Because if he wins this fight, it's at 170, and he's gonna talk his way into how he should fit into that title talk. He wants to try to be a 3 weight class champion. We'll see. Conor, basically, because of his draw and his power,
he's going to get what he wants.
Yeah, whatever he calls out, eventually they're going to try to find some way to make it work. Who knows? And he's smart. He's a businessman too. He knows what he's doing when it comes to this. So we'll see. It's going to be kind of interesting to see who Conor calls out. Cerrone rarely calls out anybody. He's like, hey, UFC calls me and says, they got to fight for me, I'll fight them. And he's proven that.
But that's why, Masvidal and him are very similar in that aspect, and that they fight whoever's put in front of them. They never duck. They want to test themselves. And I think that's why they would be such a great draw, because it's going to be a clash of wills of people who are very similar, other than, Masvidal being from the streets and freaking Cerrone being from out there in the prairie or wherever his ranch is, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and Cowboy lives an adrenaline-filled life, man. That joker's always out doing something. I love it. But, all right, so I don't think we placed a bet on this one yet, have we?
No.
We've got a bet on Home and Pennington.
Right.
It's the only one we've made a bet on so far. All right, I'm taking Pennington, you're taking Home. Want to put 5 on Cowboy McGregor?
Yeah, let's do. Well, I'm going to put £5 because that's what they use over in Ireland.
No, $5. We in the United States of America. Okay, now that we have audio again, a few technical difficulties there. All right. Both taking Grasso. Both taking the Crochet Boss.
Crochet Boss all the way.
And I'm taking Pennington in their second fight.
And I'm taking Home.
So 5 bones on that one?
5.
All right, and I'm taking Cowboy, and you're taking McGregor, the anti-American that you are. No. Okay. So 5 on that one?
Yeah, we'll do 5 on that one.
5 each. All right. Again, it's been fun. Add to the list, MMA Table Talk. Look for more. Make sure you subscribe, YouTube, follow all the social media channels. Appreciate you watching.